Hi guys, welcome to our channel, Diary of Our Lives.
I'm Danny.
I'm Benny. So guys, today we are at Pram. We're taking a tour at the African Ancestral Wall.
Yeah, so this is like a museum, I guess,
Right, right.
of our ancestors
Yeah.
throughout the diaspora, whether it's African American, South African American, the islands, or even Ghanaians of Africa, as well as other African people on the continent, South Africa, what have you. So we're going to be taking to your tour and showing you some of your ancestors, our ancestors. All right, guys, so let's begin. So we're walking down a little pathway here. It's gonna have a wall of all the ancestors, and there is a lot of ancestors, as you can see as we get into the wall here. And this wall goes all the way down this way, as we're gonna show you in the distance. So, guys, we at the wall of the ancestors. There are many ancestors here who I've never heard of, never seen, but I'm pretty sure these people was prominent in the development of African culture, black people. So we're gonna just travel down the wall here and show you guys who some of these people are. Some of you guys are probably educated people. You may know who some of these people are. Some of you guys are probably Pan-Africanists. I know Steve Biko. Steve Biko was one of the first African leaders who was assassinated for trying to liberate Africa. I forgot what country Steve Biko comes from, but I've heard about him in hip-hop songs as a youth. Didn't know who he was. I thought actually he was a made-up name, but Steve Biko is actually a real person. I believe it was in a Tribe Called Quest song. So we're going to continue down the wall here, looking at our ancestors here. There's plenty of them here. And I know who this guy is right here. This is George Washington Carver. He's a black American. He was the inventor of the peanut and many other various inventions in America here. So I do know who this guy is. But there's plenty more leaders, plenty more ancestors. Here with Harriet Tubman here. For you American people, you know who Harriet Tubman was. She did the Underground Railroad and freeing out people from slavery. And she was a very tough lady. We know she didn't play. She was about that business. Harriet Tubman was there. So we're going down the wall more. I see Haile Selassie here. He's big in the Jamaican culture, the reggae music. It's even believed that he came from the bloodline of King Solomon, is what I've heard and what I've been told and what I've read in some things. So this is one of our ancestors right here from the past. We have right here, we have Shaka Zulu. He was one of the kings of the tribes down in South Africa. He tried to fight off the British, which he did for a little while, but then colonization took over South Africa as it is today, like it takes over many places in the African continent. So Shaka Zulu right there, one of our tough guys. We're going to continue on down. So here we have a lot of our Ghanaian kings right here from Africa. I'm looking at right here. I'm not good at pronouncing some of the names here. These are some of our Ghanaians kings that we have right here, which I don't know much about because I'm not from Ghana, and of course we wasn't taught this in America. So we're getting into some of our Ghanaian people. This guy right here looks like, what is that? How you pronounce that, babe? Memesis, M-E-N. Okay. This guy was alive before Christ was born. He got BCE on his era of his life right here. So he was alive way back before Christ was even born. Going back, I guess, into the Old Testament, if you will. Yeah. So continuing down the wall right here. As I said, a lot of these people I'm not familiar with because from a standpoint of view in our teachings in America about African history, a lot of it is taught from slavery, but we're not actually taught about the people that was here before the modern era. This guy right here is he got looked like Hotep on his name. He was born before Christ, 2,600 years before Christ. This guy was living on the continent of Africa. So we're gonna continue down the wall right here as we get to more people. Let me make sure I get some of these names in here. It's going up kind of high right here. The wall got kind of high, so I gotta make sure I bring the camera up a little bit. And more of our kings on the continent and the diaspora. We have right here Thomas Sankara from Burkina Faso. Did I say that right, baby?
Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso. So he was an African liberator. He was also assassinated by the colonizers in trying to liberate Burkina Faso. So I never heard of him until I was grown, never taught about him in history class in school when I was coming along. So once again, another one of our ancestors and our leaders. And more people right here. Okay, here we have Malcolm X. We know who Malcolm X was. Malcolm X is one of our black leaders of the Islam movement. And Malcolm was assassinated too. We do know that. So here go Malcolm. Malcolm made the wall. He's on the wall down here. This guy right here, I believe, was the pharaoh who was over top of the Hebrews or the Israelites during the time of Egypt, who was ruling in Egypt way back then. So as you can see, 1340 BC. And right next to him we have Bob Marley. Bob Marley, everybody know who Bob Marley is, one of the fathers of reggae music or ancestral music of the Jamaican islands. So there's Bob right there. Coming down here more, got Fred Hampton right here. Fred Hampton was a Black Panther. Fred Hampton was also assassinated by the police at age 21. He was trying to help liberate black people in America. And there's just a trove of black ancestors and black leaders here that come from different places on the continent who, I wasn't taught about, don't know about. Some of these names I can go research, go back in history and trying to find out, who these people are and what their contribution was to black people and trying to, liberate black people here. So as you can see, there's a whole wall down here coming from the whole wall back this way of, our black leaders being remembered and being counted for. So we're just going to continue on down here. More of our ancestors I haven't heard of, seeing being documented here. We have Martin Luther King right here. We know Martin Luther King was a black ancestor, one of our black leaders in America. He was also assassinated trying to liberate black people. So here's Martin Luther King. He laid the wall. He's on here. We have right here Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was a boxer in America, but he stood up for black people in America, They couldn't keep him quiet, They call him one of the greatest of all times, But not only was he great for himself, he was also great for our people too, With all his success that he had in boxing and everything, he never left our people behind. He kept our people remembered. He always wanted to make sure that our people was, looked at with dignity and looked at with respect. And, he tried to keep that in the forefront. So, respects unto him. And the wall goes on and on. So we're going to continue to walk down here a little bit more. Many ancestors here I haven't heard of. We have Elijah Muhammad right here, who is the father of the Nation of Islam in America, being represented on the wall right here. Ida B. Wells is on here. I forgot what Ida B. Wells was famous for. Forgive my ignorance on that. But if anybody remember, I'm sure I can look it up later after this. Let us know what the Ida B. Wells contribute to our black people. Obviously, she did an important thing because she made the wall right here. So, shout out to Ida B. Wells. Right here we have Booker T. Washington. He was one of our educators in the black community that was trying to educate black people. Professor. So he made the wall. His contribution is being recognized. B.B. King, one of the kings of the blues. Music was turned into modern day rock and roll, which turned into disco, which turned into hip hop today. So here's one of our forefathers in music. The great B.B. King right here, he made the wall, so shout out to B.B. King right here. You know, he's being recognized right here. So continue down the wall right here. Garrett Morgan made the wall. Garrett Morgan was a black inventor in America. He invented many things like the stoplight, which the stoplight is used in many countries throughout the world. He also invented the gas mask and many other things that I can't mention right now, but he was a great contribution to black people, and he was a great contribution to the world in general with his inventions. So shout out to Garrett Morgan. I actually had to do a book report on Garrett Morgan one time, so yeah. And here go the rest of our black ancestors coming to the end of the wall right here. We have John Henry Clark right here, who was also a great educator of our black people, Pan-Africanist, and educating our black people, you know, giving our black people pride and respect for ourselves. And we're going to end it out with Winnie Mandela, who was the wife of Nelson Mandela. I don't know why Nelson Mandela was on the wall. That's kind of strange, but Winnie Mandela made it for her contributions, and also Frances Cress Wilson, who I believe was an educator, I believe also. I could be wrong, but I'll have to look it up and see what her contribution was again. So, as you can see, people, this is a long list of wall right here, and it goes all the way back up that way of our black people who contributed and contributed to the rise of black people, the education of black people, and the liberation of black people. Some of them paid for it with their lives, and some of them gave contribution into leaving a footprint and a stamp on the world as contributors of black people to the world. We're in Prim Prim. We're at the Ancestral Ancestors Wall here, or Pan-Africanism. Yeah, going up these little steps here. Make our way to the top. Just taking a look around. Yeah.
You give me a discount because I lost some of my drink.
There's the wife right there. There's my brother chilling. Oh yeah, Prim Prim.
So guys, we've come to the end of our tour of the African Ancestral Wall, and we also come to learn that the owner of this place is called Jerry Johnson, who happens to be a black American married to Ghanaian from Upper East of Ghana. So guys, and this place has also been in existence for like 12 good years. So guys, this is the end of our today's video. If you like the video, kindly subscribe, like and share. We'll see you in the next video. Bye. Shalom.